Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Talks.
Hey,
Back on
hey.
TA Monday, and I'm joined by Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hello, sir.
Yes, it's been a long day.
You get all the details, all the elaboration out of
I'm
me.
not.
Hi.
Yeah, yeah, long day. I think I had what is it? 13-hour day at work, and then straight back here, and back to work. Hey, but at least
That's
this
too
is fun,
long.
right?
For
Yeah,
who?
I know. Yeah, for me, for you, hopefully for everybody watching.
Hope so. Hope so. I mean, that's optimistic, but yeah.
Yeah, we got Golden Goose spamming ETH BTC 3, 2, 1 go. Yeah, we will touch on that. I think Rob will touch on that because he's smart, but I think it will be a really short one. We can start with that if you want, Rob.
Go nuts. Go absolutely
Yeah.
nuts.
So do you have it prepared on your screen? Because I know
I
that you
do.
had a very quick. Okay, I want to add your thing to the stream. Then here you go. Okay, super
Nothing
quick
is
ETH BTC.
happening. Nothing at all is happening. The goddamn 21 week and the 50 week and the 100 week are all at the same value, near enough. That is how little is happening, Plippy. That is what absolute non-event is going on. The RSI on the weekly is at 47 and has been since the beginning of time. So yeah, how's that?
I love that. I love it. I love the aggression too. It's great.
Yeah, I'll say I'll have a look to see if I've got a bit of a longer one on ETH BTC. Does yeah? There you go. Binance comes out. Let's get rid of the moving averages because they tell us absolutely rock all. That was apparently important one day.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of in a big what's that? 2025. I mean, if it ends up forming an 8-year ascending triangle, then I mean that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That and it just sort of that from a long term perspective, like the range is identified there. This is ETH BTC and has been forever until it's not.
I mean, with all this, when nothing is happening in TA, you tend to want to start thinking about like the macro stuff and fundamental stuff.
Yeah,
like
and
right
on this
now,
basis, I'm not an ETH bull. I'm not really an altcoin bull. I think it's like I'm quite in the Bitcoin only, not necessarily Bitcoin only, but Bitcoin mainly camp. That everything else in the market is essentially just an insane amount of risk relative to Bitcoin right now, and just to type a little thing in, what we can see straight away is a little bit of a Wyckoff distribution type sort of phase as it goes there, where you can see this kind of this initial pump up, which came all the way back into May 2021. We had that crash in Bitcoin in May 2021, and then from there, say it essentially does look like this this sort of beginning phase of a distribution pattern, and we have a very, very clear support line, we have a very clear sort of resistance line, and we will need to see which way it breaks up. Now, is it going to what is the catalyst that's going to make it break up? It would have to be a new hype cycle. It'd have to be a new Bitcoin bull run, a new crypto bull run, a new era of fresh capital being deployed into the market. Now, I don't really see that environment. I think we've been speaking for multiple weeks how say that the big picture does not look
great.
Really, it just doesn't look great in terms of the current scenario. Maybe long term over 5-10 year period. Yeah, things are going to hopefully go incredibly well. But right now, like there's crypto tech. It's not really the place to be right now in terms of where the big gains have been. The big gains have been in the defensive stuff, the slow, boring, low risk stuff. We are in a period of risk off, and to apply that same logic of risk on, risk off, if you're going to do it to crypto, which is an inherently risky asset class, which is the risk off crypto and which is the risk on crypto? Risk off is very clearly Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's that's not to say that ETH will not come out and surprise me. It's say we have it, it's range bound. It is range bound. It could start to move up and really start to break out and do something special.
Yep.
What's going to make it do that? I don't right now really don't see it, and I see Bitcoin taking over and starting to take over. But as a similar sort of comparison would be Bitcoin dominance, which in the same way that you have this same range, obviously, because ETH is a large part of what makes Bitcoin dominance what it is, and so we have this kind of accumulation period of Bitcoin dominance where the market is sort of offloading from these riskier assets into the big daddy, which will is Bitcoin. And if ETH BTC starts to break down, that will take liquidity out of other alts in it as well, which will drive Bitcoin dominance up. And then the self-fulfilling prophecy of Bitcoin dominance is going up, therefore people buy Bitcoin, altcoins are going down, therefore people sell their altcoins. And unless the world changes its mind, I don't really see this taking a substantial leg higher anytime soon.
No,
and I'm very happy to be wrong.
Yeah, same. I mean, look, here's some macro points as well for all this, because a couple of days ago, last week, Mr. Gary Gensler said that everything is a security except for Bitcoin, and they are, the SEC is doing all these things where they're poking at, basically everything. The United States is going after everything. They're going after Paxos for the BUSD, like John just mentioned here, right here. And to respond real quickly to this one from GG, I'm going to call it GG. So what about the Coinbase new blockchain on ETH? It's layer 2. Well, I don't think it will have any impact, honestly, because that's priced in already into ETH, because as soon as that's announced, that gets priced in pretty quickly as something being built on ETH for ETH price action. The price action will probably be on their coin, even though I don't think that's a kind of a weird layer 2. I can't remember exactly, but I don't really think much will happen with that, to be honest. For ETH
it's
price
kind of
action.
Yes. On a long-term basis, yes, it is impactful in that it will bring new users, new liquidity, new whatever to the ETH ecosystem. But if being a layer 2, if it doesn't directly require an investment in ETH in order to operate, well, it's not going to impact ETH in any other way than other layer 2s, say the likes of Polygon, Metis. You've got these ETH layer 2s, Optimism, Arbitrum, all of these, and similarly the other ERC20 platforms the ERC20 clones, like Avalanche, Kronos, all of these. Like, these are all long-term growth. The growth measurements. It's an increase in the user base. It's an increase in the amount of money in the industry. Is it going to directly impact ETH? I don't really see on any noticeable basis. On a long-term adoption curve basis, yes.
Yeah.
But day 1, day 30, day 90, it's very difficult to measure.
Yeah, I agree with all that for sure. And John did say, what are your thoughts on BUSD being potentially removed from Coinbase chain? I mean, I don't think it matters that much. Like they've already stopped. Paxos have already stopped issuing more BUSD, and they've dropped 5 billion in market cap BUSD as a stable coin, and it's just going to carry on going down because people are getting out of that and getting back into USDC, USDT, all these things.
It depends on, say, as an issuer, can Binance simply find another issuer? Could Binance decide to hold the dollars and issue it themselves? Well, Binance as an entity, Binance.com can't operate in the US anyway. So there's not necessarily, there potentially isn't much that the SEC could do if Binance go, well, we're not operating in the US and BUSD is our stable coin. We guarantee it. We back it. It has got sod all to do with you. Go away.
Yeah, I'll say this though. I did hear a lot of talk, or not a lot, but some talk about how Circle is starting to issue. They're issuing Euro C, which is trickier than issuing, USDC, because Europe, when they raise interest rate, the way it works, so when they raise interest rates in Europe, they raise, all the different countries have different let's call it thresholds to how high you can raise interest rates. Therefore, holding, issuing Euro C is a bit trickier. But I could see Euro gaining like the Euro stablecoins gaining a little bit more traction if there's going to be so much poking at the USD ones in the United States, for outs, like for people outside of the United States, that they might start using Euro stablecoins a little bit more, which is, I guess that's good. It's more diversified stuff, right?
But the way this is the thing that the regulators and, most importantly the central banks need to really kind of clock on is that if you have these stable coins which are backed by US treasuries or German bonds or whichever, some sort of high grade government debt, then what this stable coin has done is managed to find a way to get everyday normies like me and you to invest in government debt. They have to realize that. The moment that they do realize this, and this is then either they do realize it, and then but they don't want their own CBDC to, well, they should want it because they want buyers for debt. If they want the CBDC to be that person, that entity, and only that entity, then so be it. But there's an awful lot of value in these stable coins being able to essentially absorb billions of dollars of government debt, which doesn't really have a place to go. And I'm rather bullish on stable coins in terms of market cap. I think they're going to continue to grow and eventually be a $1 trillion market cap plus in their own right, unless they are completely obliterated at the source by say the SEC now. But for everyone, that every time somebody the game theory side of it is that every time somebody shuts something down, it only provides a new motivation for someone else to step in and and essentially cover that ground. Now, why BUSD is being picked on in particular, I'm not sure, but
you can speculate that all day if you want. It's one of those things. It's just they're starting there maybe, and they'll carry on. It could be an argument that the United States wants the USDC stablecoin to be the only one, stuff like that. But people are saying all these things all over Twitter all the time, and I'm like,
but why? So what is the? This is then the. I don't particularly understand what case the SEC have for meddling with stablecoins, because they are essentially just IOUs. They're just an IOU.
They're reaching. I feel like they're just reaching for anything. Which is kind of ridiculous. But all right, let's get into the Bitcoin TA that we usually do the first. But now we listened to the community, and the community wanted ETH BTC and stuff. So now we're jumping over to what we usually do. So for Bitcoin TA, again, not much is happening, but what we can look at is the fact that we've think last week we were topping out here. We were trying out the 25k levels here, and we had 5 days in a row where we basically bounced on the line almost. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And obviously that held. We couldn't break through that, and we had this retest. I think there was a bunch of longs that contributed to this candle. I believe it was longs being liquidated, and so that explains a little bit of this. We did go under where I thought it would have bounced, but it's like we have this. It's trying to bounce, and then it did it again today, and it's coming down. It's like it changed its mind, and I'm not sure why. What's happening right now in the markets. I'm not entirely sure exactly what have caused kind of this. It might just be one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's gonna ride the line for a bit and then move up or down, right?
Yeah.
So we still haven't broken any bullish structure, to be fair, like in the price action. So if we pull out some trend lines, just for the sake of having some trend lines, I'm going to pull it from here. I'm going to put it here. So we have kind of broken this one, but I feel like this one is way too, I don't feel that this one is going to hold. It's way too steep. It's way too aggressive. But however, I think that this one here is more of it's going to be an easier one to hold. So I'm just going to kill this one. And that gives us pretty much an ascending channel, right? And it's holding, right? We're in the middle of it. And we don't really have any big reason to why it would break through here right now in the short term, at least. And we still have this strong support down here that we already tested once. So that's a good thing. I think I would calm down a little bit more if we would see the Bollinger Band kind of come into this and kind of, constrict into. So we have the Bollinger Band supporting above this line as well. But for now, like, this is what I'm looking at, to be completely honest. And if we don't hold this, then I don't think we would count this as a lower high, would we? It's such a small. It's not really a new top. It's just a little bit of a
Yeah, this is just a drop now. We start to see.
Yeah, it's something like this, right?
Yeah, or it's an impulse wave down, and then we start to see the next wave that would come back down and test that bottom.
Yeah, like I don't want to make any very aggressive. Like we had a few weeks ago, we had one of those things where we said, it's gonna. I think during this period we said, it's gonna move up, down, or sideways, as our prediction. And I'm kind of feeling the same way right now. I'm not seeing any particular reason why it would bounce and go up and test this again. I don't see any bullish talk in the markets that would make the market move up in such a way that it would push through this, like one of these huge candles that would push through this. And I also don't see anything that would crash it down to this line or this line, and like in an instant either. So I could definitely see this type of move here, just kind of sliding along a little bit sideways, having like the daily, for example, having that reset down to being oversold. Oversold, for example, on the RSI, because right now, like, we're kind of bouncing on the bullish midline here, but it looks kind of weak to me, and I don't see a particularly strong bounce happening here either, so I think we have a week or two of boring, really.
A week or two of boring sounds about sort of right.
And that's really it, because the MACD is kind of boring too. It's not really telling us much either. Bollinger Band boring.
Everything is boring.
Everything is boring. I think we had another stream a while back where we said everything is bad.
Now everything
and that was after here somewhere. And now everything is boring. So I guess that's better. Everything is boring rather than everything is bad.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
trying.
I do want to mention though, before we pop off too hard on this, there is some bearish sentiment going around with the whole SEC thing just starting to crack down. However, if the SEC starts to really push the lawsuits on staking protocols like ETH, because they have already been starting to kind of saying that it is a security, even ETH, and if they start pushing these, they do the stable coins now. They won against Library. They're still fighting XRP for a completely different reason. Well, not really, but it's because it's not proof of stake in the same way. But and then if we get that type of stuff where people start getting scared to hold a security, and they all know that the only one that is not, according to Gensler, is Bitcoin.
Yep.
So it could be actually bullish for Bitcoin, even though it's bearish for the market or for the industry. And then at the same time, in April, we have the MiCA regulation framework for Europe, a European Union coming out, which, as far as I can tell and as far as I've learned, is looking pretty good actually, in terms of the way that they were structuring it and how they want it to work. Even stable coins are in there, I believe. Don't quote me on that, actually. I can't remember now. Too much stuff in my brain. But then, so that is probably a bullish thing going down in April for the industry. Meanwhile, the other stuff from the SEC is bearish for the industry, especially if you're American, and for the American companies that are operating in America in the crypto industry. But then that also becomes bullish for Bitcoin in a way. So I could see Bitcoin kind of doing that thing that we always talk about, or that you always talk about a lot, where everything is just rolled into Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin goes mad for a while, and then everything else starts like waking up. Don't know when that's going to happen, but
historically, that's kind of generally how the sort of the Bitcoin cycle go, the crypto market cycles go. So the markets, the macro market sentiment indicates a similar kind of logic. So what you see is you start to see the same sort of fractal behavior everywhere. So you start to see in the stock market the less risky stuff tends to hold up better than the more risky stuff. In crypto, the less risky stuff tends to hold more than the more risky stuff. But at the same time, you can look at crypto, stocks, bonds, commodities, and assess those different entire markets, entire asset classes from low to high risk. So it's all just a one big game of chicken, of pass the parcel, of musical chairs. We're all just playing games at this point, and hoping that we get the prize at the end.
So we do have a few questions that are pretty good, and I think you have the perfect brain for these ones.
Go on then.
So I'm going to give you this one, Rob, from GG. Do you think durable goods orders, the durable goods order month over month, has had any impact on the slightly negative sentiment?
Well, I'll let's have a look at it first.
We can have a look at it. We can.
Yeah, let's have a look at it. I can, if I look at it in a second.
And by the way, everybody, we're going to try to keep these responses to these questions fairly short, because we're running out of time a little bit.
So if you want to just get my screen up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A sec. Yeah. So okay, durable goods. Well, it's kind of hard to say, because what we've had is obviously this huge drop, and then this kind of
crash, right?
cannon up a rise. What is very, very clear to see is that the trend is weakening. The gradient, the pump off from the COVID crash, and then the subsequent recovery is essentially gone. We've not $273,000 million in June 2022, and was the same as the last measurement. So after this big spike is obviously Christmas, when of course there's an increase in goods activity. So everything's been flat for 6-8 months in terms of the goods orders. The next
when is the latest? Sorry. When is the latest? Like, when is the latest update on this chart?
Does
well,
it say?
Like the newest one? Like, if you hover above the line there, what does it give you at the very end?
It just has month.
Yeah. So what's that? It's January. So
January is the
making sure it's
most
updated.
recent one. So if I can.
I don't think the Feb ones. I think the February measurements come out or numbers come out like in the beginning of next month.
Yeah, the thing to kind of see is there you go. It was today. The new value was today, was it? But that was January's that came out today then.
Yeah,
because we're a month behind. Now, the thing to kind of look at is if you look at the previous peaks, you have the 2000 where these orders started to decline before the recession even hit, and then 2008 where the recession, the collapse of everything caused the hit. So in 2000 we have this sort of natural sort of slowdown, which is, I think, say more akin to what we're suffering now, unless something in the economy breaks, which things are kind of potentially going to break in the economy over the next year or so. But this could be the next year. This is going to happen today. This could be 12 months, 18 months out. It takes a long time for this to sort of break, for things to break in the economy. Next question, what kind of impact do you think the manufacturing PMI will have? Now, this is something I have looked at a little bit. I
think
more.
For everybody watching, can we translate those acronyms to what the actual means so people understand it?
ISM, no, don't know what that stands for, but the PMI is I think is it Producer Manufacturing Index, Purchasing Managers Index. Okay, yes, but it's basically a reading of how the manufacturing sector is doing for the USA. It goes from 0 to 100, where 50 is neutral. So like an RSI almost, where 50 is neutral. So 47.4, which is the current value, is a contraction. This is a reduction of the Purchasing Manager Index. So this is indicative of a slowdown. Now, if you look over the course of this history, the green bars represent US recessions, and you can see in basically every single recession you have this severe drop of the PMI. Sometimes, if you look at where we are at the moment, we have come down to this level sort of multiple times and not had a recession. However, it's so on its
the trajectory is what's worrying, I suppose.
Yes, but if you look at what we had in the COVID, we had a very sort of similar bounce and then drop down, and then the crash came. You have these cool downs, and it's kind of more a case of you can look at this data and sort of forward predict it. So now where it's going to go is very tricky. When you started to see the collapse sort of a year ago, when you started to see the PMI go high directly out the COVID crash and then start to roll over, that trajectory is oh dear, the economy is starting to cool down. Now we're at the case where the economy has cooled, and we want to see, is there a bounce? Are there actually signs of life? So the next few months would be, does this PMI start to pick up? Do the unemployment figures pick up? Does the house prices stabilizing? Are the number of houses sold stabilizing? These are the kind of figures that we want to see. We want to see a bottoming of those figures, and it's too early to tell. But say that the forward-looking projections are not good. We're not seeing any sort of recovery. Things are still getting worse. Into 5%, or 4% or 5% interest rates is not a recipe for growing economies.
I think Q1, Q2 of 2023 are going to be for observation, basically. At least for me,
Yeah.
I'm observing and just
I
looking
mean,
at, okay, what's happening and how am I going to
literally
deal
though,
with this?
that is what's going to happen. Your 2022
Yeah,
was an absolute shit show. It was horrible from start to finish. Now
yeah,
will be okay, we need to reallocate. Let's just calm it down and let's get a lay of the land. Let's see
yeah,
where the discount opportunity, what has been heavily discounted. And
yeah,
Bitcoin is something, for example, which is currently heavily discounted and therefore is probably worth something to allocate. But that doesn't mean to say that today is the day to allocate everything. It takes, bear markets take time to get over themselves, and we
oh yeah,
have to kind of really, everything has to put in a structure. It's not just like, oh, Bitcoin's in a wick off accumulation, therefore the bear market's over and
yeah.
everything's going to
This
go
is,
back
this
to
is
normal.
bigger than Bitcoin, is what we're trying to
It's
say
bigger
here.
than everything. This is
Yeah,
everything, and
this is everything. It's we can't just look at Bitcoin and say, oh, this is going to happen. It's like we need to look at
no,
Bitcoin and say, is this, like, we look at Bitcoin and we can do TA and we can say, okay, is what do we think going to happen here? But for us to understand what's going to happen, we can't just look at TA. You should never just look at TA. TA should be where you go to find when you already feel like, okay, it's time somewhere around here to start buying because you've looked at the macro, you've looked at all these things. Then you go to TA and you look at, okay, is this a best opportunity or should I wait for a few more days or a week or two, right? That's what you use TA for. At least that's what I do. Um, but John, we're gonna have to skip your question for today. We can bring it up next week, or maybe in another weekly little stream that we can do. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Actually, Rob, I know you want to get going, and I
yeah,
kind of need to go sleep or something. I'm super tired. So, but no, I'll probably jump on Discord after this for everybody who wants to join in on that. So. I hope you found some value in this video, and if you did, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit the notification thingamabob, and join the Discord. The link is always in the description here, and we'll see you in Discord, and we'll see you in the next video too. So, thanks. Bye.
bye.